TV, and today I'm here to answer any English questions you might have, or any questions you might have. At least I'll try to answer them. So to introduce myself, I'm originally from Tennessee. I studied psychology and education in Tennessee at the University of Tennessee, and I came to Taiwan in 2002 to teach English in Taiwan. So I've been teaching English ever since. I started out teaching elementary cram school and kindergarten, and I did that up until about 10 or 11 years ago, and I started teaching adults most of the time. So I teach generally conversational English to adults, and some high school students and university students.
They are free to ask any question.
Yeah, you're free to ask any questions if you'd like to. So I'll talk a little bit about adjusting to Taiwan to start off. When I first came to Taiwan, I looked at the temperatures online, the average seasonal temperatures for Taiwan, and I thought, well, you'll never need more than a t-shirt and shorts in Taiwan because it's always fairly warm. But then I came here in the winter time, and I came to Hsinchu, which is next to the ocean, and I found out it's very humid and windy here in the wintertime. So the temperature is misleading. It feels much colder in the winter than it actually is. So
I think they can post their questions on YouTube.
Yeah,
so
you can.
Can you see the stream on your PC?
Let me open it up here.
All right. You guys are free to ask any questions you want. Okay. We will do our best to answer your questions. All right. 很欢迎各位在上面留言啊。如果我们看到您的问题Adam 或者是 Jason 就是我啊 ，Jason 老师可以为你们解答有关于英文学习文法上，或者是在用法呀，或者您有什么想任何发问的问题都可以啊。All right.
Okay, so I see we've got one viewer now. If you have any English questions, feel free to ask.
Actually, there are two. There are two channels. Do you want to introduce
two channels?
Yeah,
okay.
One is American Teacher.
Okay, so I'm on two channels. One channel is American Teacher on YouTube, and the other channel is Jason Adam TV on YouTube. So I was talking about, and feel free to ask any questions while I'm talking. I was talking about adjusting to life in Taiwan. I remember the first time I heard the garbage trucks in Taiwan, and the garbage trucks here play music to alert the people that it's time to drop off their refuse. So to me, the garbage trucks sounded like ice cream trucks. So it's really disappointing when you hear the music and then you smell the smell of the garbage as the truck is going by. So that was unique. In America, we just leave our garbage at the curb and it's picked up for us while we're gone. So, and the garbage trucks in America don't play music. Another thing is the convenience stores in Taiwan. They are much more convenient here than they are in the U.S. And I remember I was shocked to find out that you can actually pay your bills at the convenience store in Taiwan, like your utility bills, internet, things like that. You can also ship packages and receive packages at the convenience stores in Taiwan.
You mind? No, go ahead and speak louder.
So probably communication was an issue. for me in the beginning, not only because I didn't speak any Chinese, but the interpersonal interactions are a bit different between the two cultures. And so I remember one time I was working for a kindergarten and I was late several times, a few minutes late, maybe as much as 5 minutes late in the morning. And rather than the boss coming to me, which would have been a standard procedure in an American company, the boss sent one of my co-teachers to talk to me about being late. And my first impression was my co-teacher is trying to get me in trouble. So I was angry with her. And I didn't say anything mean or really bad, but she could tell I was angry with her. And so I started off on the wrong foot. I didn't know in Taiwan it's more common for if the boss has a problem with you or something to kind of go through one of your coworkers to talk to you about that problem. So that's one of the ways in which I kind of goofed up when I first came to Taiwan in communicating with people. Also, I found out that that in communicating by voice, it's easier to make a mistake or for someone to get the wrong idea. So nowadays, I deal with my superiors mainly through text and fax. And at an adult school, it's much easier to do that. And so I have it in writing, and my boss or my supervisor has my communication in writing, and they can take the time to pore over what I say to them and get the right idea about the message I'm trying to send. I have a hard time saying no, so I've gotten to where I will, by default, if I'm not sure that I can do something, I'll say no, and then and that has worked out a lot better, because in the past sometimes I would say no, I would say yes, and then I couldn't fulfill what I had promised to do. But that's more of a personal thing than American-Taiwan cultural issue. Not sticking your chopsticks in rice. I made that mistake at a restaurant one time. Because, to a foreigner, most chopsticks are round, and you fear that they might roll off the table or something. So one of the first times I went out to eat in Taiwan, I stuck my chopsticks in a bowl of rice when I got up to use the restroom. And when I came back, I saw the waitress pick up the chopsticks and put them down on the table. My chopsticks. And I thought, that's extremely rude. You don't mess with someone else's food, at least in Western culture. But later I found out that it's considered an offering to the dead if you put your chopsticks upright, place them upright in your bowl of rice. Another
so
thing
you
is
talk about some, since this is an English learning channel, so you want to talk about how we can learn English better.
Okay, learning English better. That's a topic that students often try to tell me, and my advice would be that there is no shortcut for most people to learning English. The best thing to do is try to immerse yourself in English. Watch English TV shows. Communicate in English, even if it's not a foreigner. If it's a friend who knows some English, both of you can practice speaking to each other in English. I know it's awkward because it's not your native language, but if you're really serious about learning English, you need to immerse yourself in the language as much as possible. try to read English news as much as possible. Watch English TV shows without the subtitles because you'll find yourself reading the subtitles if you're not careful.
What are those problems that most Asian students have in common?
Well, probably in getting people to understand their English speaking. Grammar is one of the top. Pronunciation is key also. But if you want to have a conversation with a foreigner and have them understand you, the structure of your sentence is really important. If you start speaking Chinese English, they will probably not understand you. So yeah, English is quite different from Chinese in that we do have many different verb tenses, and you need to understand and be able to not only understand but know when to use each verb tense. For example, if you are talking about someone who is currently a student and you want to tell people that this person has been a student for 5 years, you would say, he has been a student for 5 years, has been, present perfect tense. This present perfect tense indicates that an action started at a certain time in the past and has continued up to the present. If you say he is a student, that also indicates that the person is still in school, but it doesn't give us any information about how long he has studied. If you use past tense, past simple tense, he was a student, then that indicates that he has finished his studies, or at least stopped them. He studied sometime in the past, but he has stopped, and he is no longer a student now. If you want to indicate that a person studied in the past for a particular period of time, you would use past perfect. Past perfect indicates that the person studied for a period of time and then stopped, and they are not studying right now. Like, he was a student for 5 years. That means he studied for 5 years before, sometime before now, but now he is not a student. Okay, feel free to leave any questions, any English questions that you have, and I will try to answer them. Thank you for watching.
So, are there any confusing similar words?
Oh,
Like astonished or astounding?
Well, to me, they're not that similar. Jason mentioned astonished and astounding. If someone is astonished, they are extremely shocked or surprised. It could be in a good or a bad way, but astonished usually indicates some confusion. Like, you're shocked and confused at the same time if you're astonished. Astounding is more like outstanding. If something is astounding, it is very good. And I'm checking here. Yeah, surprisingly, astounding means surprisingly impressive or notable. So astounding indicates something that's more impressive than shocking. It catches your attention, but it's impressive. All right.
Another big question is that most students tend to misuse infinitive and the gerund.
Oh, infinitives and gerunds. Okay. Yeah, this is a difficult topic for a lot of non-native English speakers, or English as a second language speakers. So a full infinitive is to plus the base form of the verb. And we use that a lot with stative verbs like, love, hate. Sorry, I got it mixed up. We use the gerund form. Gerund form is verb plus ing, and we use the gerund form more often with stative verbs like, love, hate. He likes swimming. She loves running, for example. The full infinitive is used mainly to talk about want.
Right. Okay. Some intention, something that you are going to do. You have a drive to do something, and you say, "I want to do something." Tend to do something, right?
Right.
Be going to, etc.
Okay, so an infinitive can make up, a bare infinitive can make up the subject of a sentence, or a full infinitive in rare cases. For example, to go even after all the trouble didn't seem worthwhile anymore. In this case, to go is a full infinitive, and it's also the subject of the sentence. Okay, full infinitive can be used as a direct object. For example, we all want to see. Want is the verb, to see is the direct object. So it can also be used, full infinitive can also be used as a subject complement. For example, my goal is to write. To write is the subject complement. The subject complement looks just like the direct object, but the difference is in the type of verb coming before it. The verb in the previous example, want, is a transitive verb. So transitive verbs have two defining characteristics. They come before a direct object, and they express an action. Finally, well, not finally, next to last, a full infinitive or infinitive can be used as an adjective. For example, she didn't have permission to go. To go modifies permission. So in this case, it's used as an adjective. It describes what type of permission is being talked about. Finally, full infinitive could be used as an adverb. For example, he took the psychology class to understand human behavior. To understand explains why the taking of the class happened. Why did he take the class? To understand human behavior. So in this case, it's an adverb modifying the main verb. Took.
And another interesting question is that a lot of students tend to misuse a lot of slangs or jargon. For example, when we were in America, your mother used to say, "I will have a cow." What does it mean?
Have a cow? Well, that's a common informal statement. It just means to be upset, to be very upset. Have a cow. I remember the cartoon character Bart Simpson on the Simpsons cartoon used that phrase a lot. Don't have a cow, or don't have a cow, man. So it basically, if you say don't have a cow, it means don't be upset. You could also say have a fit.
F-I-T?
F-I-T, right. Or throw a fit. Throw a fit. Okay, if you have any English questions, feel free to leave them. I'm looking at American Teacher right now. I'm not checking Jason Adam TV.
Yeah, you can check both. I'm checking both too.
Oh, Jason's checking the
You
question.
can do some chit chat, just something funny. Yeah.
Okay, let's see. On the subject of idioms, man, there are so many idioms in the English language. And I would say idioms are the hardest to translate because most online translators get them wrong every time. For example, it's a piece of cake. That means it's very easy to do. Like studying English is a piece of cake. I know you're laughing right now. Kill two birds with one stone. It means to get two things done with one action. Kill two birds with one stone. Let the cat out of the bag means to
No, just
give
slow.
away a
Do it slowly.
secret.
Kill a bird with two stones and make a sentence for them.
Okay. He killed two birds with one
Two
stone.
birds, sorry. Yeah.
He killed two. An example of kill two birds with one stone. He killed two birds with one stone when he dropped his mom at the doctor on his way to work. So he was driving anyway to go to work, and he got two things done. He dropped his mom off at the doctor, and he went to work. Okay, let the cat out of the bag is another idiom, common idiom. He let the cat out of the bag when he told his friend about the surprise birthday party.
So the definition again.
The definition of let the cat out of the bag means to tell a secret that you're not supposed to tell. To tell a secret that you are not supposed to tell. Let the cat out of the bag. Okay, another one is better late than never. It means it's better to arrive or finish something late than to not arrive or finish at all.
Better late than.
Better late than never. Than. Okay,
Can you
another.
make a sentence out of better late than never?
Okay, when his teacher complained that his homework wasn't on time, he told his teacher, better late than never. So usually it's used as a phrase by itself. Okay, here's another one. Bite the bullet.
B-U-L-L-E-T?
Yeah, B-U-L-L-E-T. If you bite the bullet, you get something over with, especially something unpleasant, something you don't want to do.
So you have to put up with that something? Means
right, it's something that you have to do. You don't want to do it, but you have to do it.
So bite the bullet 就是你即使不喜欢一件事情，你也要忍受。有点像是打落牙齿混血吞吧，这种感觉。You know, I remember listening to Elvis Presley. Elvis Presley.
I don't know.
The most famous singer in Tennessee.
Elvis Presley?
Elvis Presley, I'm sorry, I'm just getting over. Yeah, one of his songs called My Way, right?
Oh, that was originally his song? Yeah. I didn't know that. I thought Frank Sinatra sang that.
Oh, really? Okay. I think if you guys look at the lyric, you will find the similar uses of bite the bullet.
I think bite the bullet originally comes from the Civil War, American Civil War era. Back during that time, they didn't have anesthesia or medicine to stop pain. So supposedly they gave soldiers a bullet to bite on when they were in pain. So bite the bullet means to finish something that's unpleasant. For example, he didn't want to get the vaccine, but he bit the bullet. So he even though he didn't want to, he did it anyway.
Do you want to talk about your experience teaching in Taiwan?
Okay. Wow. There's
something interesting, right?
Okay. There's a lot of interesting stories about teaching in Taiwan. You might maybe not everyone knows this, but I taught kindergarten for probably around 12 years or so in Taiwan, and it's illegal for a foreigner to teach kindergarten in Taiwan. So I had to hide several times. One time I had to hide on the roof of a building. Another time I hid in the bathroom. And one time I had to climb over the playground fence to escape the government inspector. And I had to help a coworker who was a little older than me. And she basically almost fell over the playground fence trying to climb over the fence. So it's interesting teaching kindergarten in Taiwan because you're always kind of on the lookout for government inspector, and usually most kindergartens will have a special buzzer system so they can buzz in at the front desk when a government inspector comes, and you can hide. Another thing I've noticed is the importance placed on the shows in kindergarten. Taiwanese parents place a lot of importance on their child's performance in the graduation and Christmas shows at these kindergartens and some cram schools. And so they put a lot of stress on the teachers and students to have a perfect performance for these shows. And I always hated these shows because I loved my students. Don't get me wrong, I love the kindergarten students. But my kindergarten students were 3 and 4 years old, and anyone who's ever taught 3 and 4 year olds know that if they've never been on a stage before, there's always a chance they'll break down, even if they've practiced over and over and over again. There's a chance that they'll break down when they get in front of a crowd of people and cry or get scared or forget their lines or whatever. Heck, I had trouble getting on stage in high school. So, but anyway, Taiwanese parents, a lot of them expect their children to put on a perfect performance for these shows. And it doesn't matter what you've taught them all year and what English they know. If they don't do a good job in the show, the parent might pull them out of the school. So yeah, there was a lot of stress put on these shows. Whereas in American schools, usually there's only 1 or 2 shows per year, and it's mainly for fun, for the students to have fun. There is not pressure put on the students, and not every student has to participate. It's usually by volunteering. The students volunteer to be in the show. So a totally different atmosphere. Another thing is a lot of kindergartens take a totally different tact on education in Taiwan than in the U.S. In the U.S., in kindergarten, they're mainly focusing on you getting used to the routine of going to school and becoming a little more independent, like pouring your own juice and tying your own shoes and things like that. I mean, they do teach in kindergarten, but it's kind of like they realize, and I studied this in psychology, child psychology class in university. Children have a very short attention span, and if you try to make them sit still longer than about 10 minutes, especially kindergarten students, you might be able to get them to sit still, but their attention will be gone after about 10 minutes. So in Taiwan, most kindergarten bosses expected them to sit neatly in a semicircle and sit that way for up to an hour at a time. Evidently, these people have never studied child psychology. So that drove me crazy at first. And so I got to where I would try to sneak in breaks You know, after 10 or 15 minutes, I would sneak in a bathroom break or sneak in a water break or something. Anything to let the children get up and move around a little bit, because you will lose their attention after about 10 or 15 minutes at that age. The older they get, the longer they can pay attention. But yeah, kindergarten bosses, I would say, are probably the worst bosses for a teacher to work for. And I'm just saying in general. I'm not saying that every kindergarten boss is a pain to put up with, but in general, usually they put a lot more stress on their teachers, a lot more stress on the students than other schools. And other schools, like cram schools, you only see the students for about maybe an hour or two every week, and so it's you're so focused on getting the lesson taught within that short amount of time that there's not a lot of time for the boss to come in and say, you know, hey, this parent said this parent said that. So there's not as much pressure, I think, which you think it would be the opposite. You think teaching older students would be more stressful than teaching kindergarten students. And it's not the kindergarten students themselves, it's the parents and the bosses of the kindergartens. Kindergartens are outrageously expensive. English kindergartens are outrageously expensive in Taiwan. And I have often said that Taiwan needs to expand its kindergarten program to every student in Taiwan, so every student can go to public kindergarten. It's probably one of the few developed countries, Taiwan, that doesn't have free kindergarten for all students. So I think that will be essential in getting Taiwan towards its goal of being a bilingual society. Without starting students in kindergarten learning English, it's going to be tough getting them to be extremely fluent in English. Okay, I've said before, but if you have any questions, please type them in on American Teacher comment section or Jason Adam TV comment section, and I'll try to answer. Okay, so I was talking about teaching English in Taiwan. One of my bosses and I had an argument one time, and that's the main reason why I started teaching adults. The boss had a personal issue. I'm not going to go into exactly what that issue was. And she accused me of spreading some gossip about her. And I hadn't spread any gossip. I was totally innocent. In fact, I was one of the last people to find out about the situation.
Oh, there's some question for you.
Okay.
Hi, it's my first time to come here and this on live here. I'm wondering why in English to be written as I did. Let me show you this.
Okay.
Read it to them.
I'm wondering why. Well, I can only read "wo" to be written in English, as I didn't know it until now, or I never knew it until now.
Here. How come it doesn't show on the screen?
Well, you can have the computer back. I never knew it. It is past time. So you can read the Chinese to me and translate it.
Okay. All right. I'm wondering why in English. Oh, it just in Chinese. I mean, he is kind of surprised that he still didn't know about something in English to be written as I didn't know it until now. Oh, I never knew it until now.
I didn't know until now, and I never knew until now.
I never knew it. I don't know what question is about.
Oh, I never knew it. I didn't know it. I never knew it. Yeah, never knew is past simple. The reason you don't use the helper verb do or don't is because you have never, which is negative.
So you should say I have never.
So you use the past tense of know, which is knew, with never. I never knew it. You could also say I didn't know it. Both mean the same thing. We use the infinitive form after the helper. I call it helper verb for because I taught grammar to children. Helper verb makes it easier for them to understand. But yeah, I didn't know it. We use the infinitive form after the helper verb did.
It's a good question though. Yeah. So which one do you prefer? 你喜欢哪一个?
Well, I would say either one's okay. But I never knew it is more forceful.
You want to stress
you want to stress the fact that you at no time had any knowledge.
Okay, let me translate.
I never knew it.
各位同学Adam 老师在讲 I never knew it 跟 I didn't know it 的用法差不多但是你在用I never knew it 的时候呢你的意思比较重就强调你从来没有看过那个 never 本来就有 I never ever do it. Okay, I will never ever do it. I never ever did it. Okay, it just means that you try to emphasize it. The degree of not saying something, right?
Right.
All right.
Right. So if you use never, it stresses that at no point in the past did you have any knowledge. I never knew it. So they are both past
Yeah,
simple.
some technical problem now. Technical problem. For some reason, the message doesn't show on our PC.
That's strange.
Yeah.
Okay.
How about your laptop?
Where did it go? Did I close the window? Let me check.
Now you can check it yourself.
Is it withholding some of the comments until you approve them? It could be, because I don't see any comments.
Okay. Oh yeah, I have to check it. There's a.
Okay, so we're having a technical issue. Jason is checking the comments. Okay, now I see the comments.
Really?
Yeah. On Jason Adam TV. Okay, so if you have any questions, please type them into the chat box or message box on YouTube.
Yeah, it's interesting to do more interactions with the viewer.
Okay, getting back to idioms. I was talking about idioms before. Well, I didn't finish my story about why I started teaching adults. Yeah, I had an argument with my cram school boss, and it was a misunderstanding. She thought I had spread a rumor about her, which I hadn't. I was one of the last people to know the rumor, in fact. And so we had a big argument, and I thought she was going to fire me. So I immediately put in my resume at several schools, my CV, and found a job teaching adults. And to be honest, teaching adults is much less stressful. They're not. You don't have to deal with naughty students teaching adults, and you don't have to deal with overbearing parents or helicopter parents when teaching adults. A helicopter parent is a parent that hovers over their child like a helicopter, watching everything they do. I saw an article recently saying that in China, one of the best-selling products is a desk lamp that spies on people's children. They can use it to spy on their children to make sure they're studying when they're supposed to be. That is crazy, in my opinion. Totally crazy. I mean, if you don't trust your children, then they're not going to confide anything in you. That's just basic psychology. So when they're really in trouble, if they know you don't trust them, they're less likely to lean on you in times of trouble. Okay, so yeah, I've been teaching adults for the past 10 years or so, and actually I've really enjoyed doing that. Especially conversational English, because it allows me to discuss current events, and that's something that I'm interested in. And also make friendships with some of the people that I teach. And so it's kind of like going to meet friends rather than teaching. Okay, getting back to idioms, I was talking about some interesting idioms in English. Hit the hay or hit the sack means to go to sleep. I'm tired, so I'm going to hit the hay or hit the sack. Okay, cut corners, and I've seen this often. I've seen this in action.
You mean hit the hay?
Oh, okay, yes. Hit the hay is the idiom that I was talking about. Or you could say, hit the sack, S-A-C-K.
If there's a misspelling, just let me know. You can see that's right.
Yeah. Okay, the next idiom I was going to talk about is cutting corners. If you're cutting corners, you do something poorly in order to save money or time. Cutting
So
corners.
you are saving money in order to what's the name again?
It
量
means
入为出啦，就叫节俭。
it means you are trying to get by with spending the least amount of money, or you're doing something poorly to save time.
Yeah.
For
example,
I've seen this often in cram schools. I even saw one cram school where they thought the students were wasting soap, so they hid the soap on the top shelf in the bathroom. So only the teachers could see it, the students couldn't see it. Another thing is having to bring your own tissue to school. I mean, if you're paying for cram school tuition, they should factor in the cost of toilet paper. It's embarrassing. I mean, an American school will be embarrassed to ask the students to bring their own toilet tissue to class.
What does she mean? What does he or she?
Oh, no, I haven't taught dogs.
You bring cats and dogs, you can say
that. Someone asked, wow, did you say you have taught dogs? No, I didn't teach dogs. I taught kindergarten and cram school for about 12 years, Bushy Band. And then I've taught adults for about the past 10 years or so. I kind of overlapped there for a couple of years, teaching Bushy Band part-time and teaching adults part-time. But now I'm teaching adults mainly, except we're in the middle of a COVID break right now, so hopefully we'll get back week after next and start our classes again. But no, I haven't taught dogs before. I've had dogs before. Had a dog named Mika for 15 years. She was part German Shepherd, and she was a wonderful dog. Okay, here's another idiom that is commonly used in English. Break a leg. Break a leg just means good luck. It's usually used before someone goes on stage. Before a performer goes on stage, we will say, break a leg. And we are actually wishing them good luck. Okay, here's another idiom. Cut someone some slack. Cut someone some slack. If you cut someone some slack, it means that you give them the benefit of the doubt. You are not so critical of them. Like, if someone forgets a tiny detail, but they have been working all day long, they might say, cut me some slack, I'm very tired. That's why I forgot something. It just means don't be so critical. Cut someone some slack. Okay. Someone said sorry about thinking that I taught a dog. That's okay. Someone wrote a rather long statement in Chinese. Can you read it?
I have problem understanding. Maybe we can just answer him later.
Okay. I'm sorry, the rather long message, I can read Zhongwen Chinese, but that's about it. We will have to translate later. Okay, here's another idiom that's commonly used in English. Hang in there. Hang in there just means don't give up. Especially if someone is in a difficult situation, we will say, hang in there. Like if someone, for example, has tried to pass a test, they've taken it 2 times already and they haven't passed, you might tell them, hang in there, don't give up. So hang in there is usually used by itself. Okay, another common idiom is under the weather. If you are under the weather, that means you are sick or ill. Under the weather. He felt under the weather, so he went to see the doctor.
Is there any interesting anecdotes that you want to talk, like gossip, or you can talk about your experience living in Taiwan and compare difference between Taiwan and America?
Okay, the difference between living in Taiwan and America. The police are way too nice to the citizens in Taiwan. I remember one time I saw a drunk man on the street, and he was actually arguing with and even pushing police officers.
The traffic. Oh
and so when the police officers didn't automatically tase him or shock him and throw him in the police car, I was shocked, because in America you never argue with a police officer, and you definitely never push a police officer. You might end up dead. So so the police are a little too nice to the citizens here, which is better than the alternative. You don't have to worry as much about getting shot by the police here. But I would say it's rare in America to be shot by the police. It's more common than in Taiwan, but in general it's rare. So I know you see all these crazy news stories about people shooting guns in many different places in America, but in general your odds of getting shot in America are not that high.
Wow, you got more viewers now. 6.
Okay. So another thing is the way people drive here. Is that people here drive very aggressively, and I need to tell you that I grew up in a small rural town in Tennessee, so I never lived in a big city. It could be that I'm not used to aggressive driving just because I don't live in a big city. But in America, if you are at a red light, stopped at a red light, and it turns green and you want to turn left, you have to wait for the oncoming traffic before you turn left. You should never turn left in front of the oncoming traffic in the U.S. because there's a high possibility that they will hit you, or you could be given a ticket by police because that's the law. You're supposed to yield to oncoming drivers if you are turning left in the U.S.
There's actually major difference, which is very, very interesting. When I had to do the full stop, in America, you always
Okay.
hear the crap out of you.
Let me tell you what happened one time when Jason was driving, and
By the way, my
you'll
name
know-
is Jason.
yeah, this
我的
is
名字叫
my
Jason
partner
老师。
Jason
Yeah.
in the background here. Okay, we were one year we were traveling in America, and we were on a small road that crossed a major 4-lane highway. And up ahead there was a flashing red light. And we were going to cross a major highway. And Jason just flew across the highway, didn't even slow down. Flew through under the red light. I pounded on the dashboard and yelled and scared. His mother and brother were in the back seat, and I scared them. They didn't know what was going on. But thank God there was nobody on the main highway, because in America, people assume that, if you are on the side street, you will come to a complete stop before you merge onto a major highway. That's another thing. There's a difference between a highway and an interstate highway in the U.S. What we call highways have many different streets that intersect with the highway.
Can you just turn that thing off? I think it's kind of the reflection too much. It caused that flare.
All right. I've got to turn off the light here.
Let me check the lighting. Hold on. Let me see. It's still.
Could be my lamp.
It's much better. It's much better.
Okay, so I was talking about Jason driving in America, and that gets me to another point. In America, the police do not turn on their flashing lights unless they want you to pull over, unless you have violated a law and they want you to stop. So if you're ever in America and you see the flashing red and blue lights on a police car behind you, you have to pull over and stop as soon as it's safe to do so. Or the police will think you are trying to run from them. And that's not good.
Let me make it bigger.
Okay,
did you
someone
see
said, hang in there, it reminds me of a game called Resident Evil 2, because this sentence had been spoken from a female character when she saw a man dying, sitting on the ground at the police station. Okay, have a good dinner. Someone said they have to leave to eat dinner. I haven't played Resident Evil 2, but I believe Jason has.
Oh yeah, I almost played all the sequel.
Okay, another difference between America and Taiwan. I was talking about the police. There are more traffic police in America, and the tickets are in general more expensive. So there are fewer people who dare to break the traffic rules in the U.S. because they're more likely to get caught. And police officers in America are allowed to hide and catch you speeding. I've seen them hide behind buildings, anything that blocks their car. And as soon as you pass by their car going too fast, they'll flip on their lights and get in behind you, and you have to pull over and you get an expensive ticket. Another thing that shocks me is the police here in Hsinchu, I don't know if this is in every city in Taiwan, but they will warn you when you're illegally parked before they have your car towed. They don't do that in America. So I think it's kind of annoying because I teach in an area where there are a lot of cram schools at night and students at night. And every night the parents will come to pick up students and they'll illegally park. And every few nights or so the police will crack down on the illegal parking and they'll turn on their siren. And I can hear it.
Move on the switch over.
Okay.
A little bit, yeah, okay.
And I can hear the siren from my classroom, which is distracting. And I am easily distracted. So, also, the noise level that's acceptable in Taiwan is generally more than in where I come from. Like when you go shopping, especially in the produce section, and you hear the loudspeaker blaring in your ears of grandma touting her produce.
We got 8 viewers.
It's
Keep at it.
annoying.
What does keeping at it mean?
Keep at it?
Mm-hmm.
It means keep up the good work, continue what you're doing.
That's what I just said. All right, according to one of the viewers' question, you can read on the screen. Okay, hanging there. Yeah, what does hanging there mean? Hanging.
Hang in there. It means continue, keep going.
Keep going. Okay.
Right. Even though times are hard.
Resist.
Resist giving up.
Yep.
Hang in there.
Yep. 不要放弃，叫 hang in there， 不要乱翻译哦，同学们。hang in there 不是把谁挂在那里哦。Okay. But if you pin someone on the wall or on the corner, I forgot the phrase.
I'm sorry?
You pin someone or pin someone on the wall. Or is it a
nail
someone, right?
Oh, that means to strongly criticize someone.
Yeah.
Or
what
something.
is the full sentence?
Nail someone to the wall.
Yeah.
It's not that common.
Yeah, there are some idioms that are not that common actually. So don't waste time on trying to memorize all the useless idioms, you know. But having a cow is a good usage, you know.
Okay, so I was as I was saying, if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat box, and I'll try to answer them. So getting back to differences between the U.S. and Taiwan, I was talking about the way people drive. People tend to merge onto main streets in Taiwan without looking. Also, to make illegal U-turns on major streets and stop traffic. There's just a lot of things I see here that in a city you would likely get a ticket for and have to pay a large fine because in the U.S. because there are more traffic police there than here. So also finding statistics on traffic accidents in Taiwan is difficult. Finding current statistics. I think the government doesn't want you to know how dangerous riding a scooter in Taiwan is, and most of the deaths are people who ride a scooter. So riding a scooter is dangerous in Taiwan. Another thing is food. Desserts in America are sweeter than in Taiwan. Of course, you eat a lot more rice, and we eat a lot more bread. Our main starch is bread, and yours is rice. You don't use an oven very often, and in America we use oven frequently.
All right, according to the last message, sorry, my parents had me as a dinner, had me do something. You have to use present tense, like had me have a dinner instead of has a dinner.
Well, that would be an awkward way to put it.
Yeah, I think either way is not correct. I just say
My parents asked me to come to dinner.
Yeah, and when you have someone do something means you ask them to do something politely. Politely. Okay. All right. Let me put it here.
Like the boss had me finish my report. But we usually wouldn't say my parents had me eat dinner.
同学们，如果你们有什么问题啊，你们可以在上面很踊跃的发问，或者你有任何句子想要我们帮你们改的啊，就是你可以在上面 po 留言上面欢迎po 你们的想要我们改的句子，好不好？I just told them that if there are any grammar usages that they are confused about, or if there are sentences they want to clarify. All right, they can just ask us anytime.
Right. You can leave a message in the box on YouTube.
Yeah.
If you have any questions or any parts of my talk that you need for us to clarify, you can leave a message in the chat box on YouTube. It's next to the video, and we'll try to answer your questions. Okay. So I was talking about differences between America and Taiwan. So most houses in Taiwan don't have a large oven for baking things. In America, most houses do have a large oven for baking things. Let's see. Before I came to Taiwan, I never knew that a barber shop was another name for a place of prostitution. Also, tea shop. Or tea parlor. I had no clue that those were other names for houses of prostitution. Of course, America has prostitutes, but it's not usually so. I mean, they don't usually operate out of a fancy building with flashing lights. They usually are in a dark alley somewhere. Not that I've ever used a prostitute. Also, in America, prostitutes advertise as escorts. So escort service is legal. That's when you hire someone to accompany you on a date. That is technically legal in America, but prostitution is illegal, except for, I think there's a place in Nevada or somewhere out west called the Bunny Ranch. That is one of the few places, if not the only place in America, where prostitution is actually legal. So let's see, other differences between America and Taiwan. We don't so much have the concept of face as you do here. So, for example, if you take me out to eat at a restaurant and the food is horrible, as an American, I'm likely to tell you the food's bad. But I would say, it's not your fault. You didn't know it would be bad. But I would say, I would be honest. I would say the food's terrible. Whereas I think a lot of Taiwanese people would never say that to a friend that took them out to eat, because they would think that it hurt their friend's face, made their friend lose face. So maybe Americans are more open about their opinions and feelings than Taiwanese. So if you have any comments, please leave them in the box next to the video. Another thing, most American houses have central heat and air conditioning. So we have a big unit that heats and cools the entire house. Whereas in Taiwan, most houses have individual room air conditioners, and most houses do not have heaters. And let me tell you, it does get chilly in Taiwan in the wintertime, especially living in Hsinchu, where it's very windy and we're next to the ocean, so it's very humid during the winter. So when that wet wind hits you in the winter and the temperature outside is like 10 degrees, you feel cold. So I find it odd that most houses don't have heaters, and that's one of the first things I got when I came here, because I don't feel comfortable not having a heater in the wintertime. Also, a dehumidifier. I've noticed I'm much more sensitive to humidity than Jason is, and I can tell when it's getting too humid, and I'll actually start sweating if it's too humid. So to keep from feeling sticky and icky, I run a dehumidifier most of the time.
I still remember when you just came to Taiwan, you were very depressed.
Oh,
Because there was one day you mistook the trash truck as ice cream truck.
well, I told that story already.
Really?
You weren't paying attention.
I was busy,
Typing.
Yeah. So what else that made you depressed?
Well, when I first came here, I didn't have a scooter, so I was basically, and I didn't know how to catch a bus or anything like that. So basically, the places I visited were very close to school, and I spent a lot of time at the school I was working at, which was a kind of a toxic environment. So I think that was the main reason I was depressed, and also being, over 7,000 miles away from home, in a culture that was completely different from the one that I was used to. So I went through a culture shock when I first moved to Taiwan. Also, I don't eat seafood, and a lot of dishes in Taiwan have seafood. But I mean, you can find a lot of food that doesn't have seafood that is delicious. So it's just it was a matter of becoming acclimated to the culture here.
I think we are going to end it in 5 minutes. So if anything you want to tell the students?
We're gonna come to a close here in about 5 minutes. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them. Even after the live chat has ended, we'll try to
I think we
get
will
to
do
those.
this. From now, we can do this constantly, right?
Yeah, we'll do this more frequently. So yeah, I guess you could say.
I think just let me tell them something.
Okay, Jason is going to tell you something before we sign off.
各位同学们，各位朋友或社会人士 ，No, I'm in my underwear.
Oh, okay.
Don't get hyper 各位同学们 ，OK 各位朋友社会人士Adam 老师跟我 Jason 老师呢，我们两个一起教授英文已经超过20年了然后我们很了解各位的问题，那我们以后可能会把这个直播呢变成是一个常态。如果你们喜欢的话，请在下面尽量帮我们留言支持我们然后再来就是，如果我们结束直播的时候，同学们可以在下面先预留一些问题，然后待我们整理好一起回答，这样会比较有效率不然的话，下一次如果我们在直播，可能就是还是跟各位聊聊天或者是教授一些各位需要的知识英文学习的知识。Alright, so I just told them to leave a comment or questions on the commentary, bar after offline, so we can just gather all the questions before next stream.
Okay. All right. Thank you for watching. Jason Adam TV and American Teacher TV.
We are open for the last question. OK, 有没有任何要问的问题？请把握机会，我们在1分钟之内就要结束了。OK。大家不用担心你们来看这个节目是免费的所以你们可以随时过来过来 check out，OK，或者是有任何问题想跟我们讨论的或分享的或任何不仅仅是英文的it can be any questions，OK， we are open-minded.
Right. You mentioned checkout. Checkout has different meanings. Checkout can mean to pay for your items at a supermarket, or checkout can mean to find out more information about something.
Yep. All right. So if there's no more question, we just wish you a wonderful weekend.
Have a good weekend. And thank you for watching Jason Adam TV and American Teacher TV.
All right. Bye bye.
Bye bye.